Tales of the Abyss is the Tales series at its finest, with a strong story and characters that will twist and reveal many facets over the course of the tale. Tales of the Abyss in fact has some of the strongest character arcs in the series that I've played so far. The combat system is strong if lacking innovation, the visuals are good for the time that they were produced in, and while the game lacks several modern conveniences when it comes to travel around the world, the ultimate quality of the game is enough to overcome the occasional poorly aged feature. Tales of the Abyss is a solid Tales game that anyone who has enjoyed previous games in the series will enjoy, if they can get their hands on it, of course. Tales of the Abyss is an action RPG developed by Namco Tales Studio and published by Bandai Namco. The game is the 8th mainline title and released to celebrate Tales' 10th anniversary with its initial release. The game was originally developed for the PlayStation 2, releasing in 2005 in Japan and 2006 in North America. There was no Europe release for Tales of the Abyss until 2011. 2011 is when the game was ported to the 3DS and released in Japan and Europe, with a North American version coming in 2012. It is the 3DS version that I played for my playthrough of the game, although it isn't easy to get your hands on as the game never had a digital release on the platform. Reviews-wise, the game had somewhat mixed reviews, especially the 3DS port, which was knocked for not adding much new to the original game. Based on my own interactions with the Tales community though, the perception of the game has been more positive, specifically regarding the story. This perception holds up to the reality of the sales of Tales of the Abyss, which combined between PS2 and 3DS versions goes over 1 million copies sold. The European success of the 3DS port in particular exceeded Bandai Namco's expectations and kept the company focusing on releasing games in the West as well. Now that you know some of the background on the game, let me take you to the land of Aldrant and the adventure therein. In Tales of the Abyss you play as Luc von Fabra, the teenage nephew of the king of Kimlaska, who 7 years prior had been kidnapped by the rival country of Malkuth and then recovered but with amnesia. Since then, he has been confined to his house with only family, servants, and his master who trains him in combat allowed to see him for 7 years. One day though, a young woman shows up and attempts to assassinate his master while he is training Luc. But when Luc intervenes, a hyper-resonance occurs and he and the woman get teleported out into Malkuth territory. For the first time in his memory, Luc now gets to experience the outside world, and during his travels back to his home and subsequent travels afterwards, he and the companions he gathers discover many secrets about the land and the plans of some powerful individuals to alter the course of history. It is up to Luc and the party then to carve a new path for the people of all countries and encourage peace and prosperity. The world building of Tales of the Abyss is a particular high point. The magic system of phonons is a well thought out system, and the society that rose up because of that system and the history behind it is realistic and impactful for the story. Specifically in the past, the religious figure Yulia helped create the modern order via the prophecy known as the Score. The Score has dictated the path of history and society for generations and brought prosperity, but at the time of the events of the game, the missing 7th phone stone on which Yulia's score of this moment is written is gone. Both Kimlaska and Malkuth want to find out what the future holds, along with a religious group called the Order of Lorelei. At the same time though, a group emerges due to their discontent with certain events of the Score, including the destruction of the island of Hod. The rich history and world of Aldrant is a great setting to work from and will appeal to anyone who is a fan of immersive game worlds. The game also conveniently gets to explain all of these details to you via explaining them to the sheltered main character of Luc. Speaking of the characters, the main party as a whole is solid, with 5 out of the 6 being great, and 3 in particular standing out among my favorites in the Tales of series thus far. All of them experience excellent character growth and development over the course of the story, none more so than our main character of Luc, who granted had a long way to go from the beginning of the story. These are imperfect characters who are truly learning as they go and just trying to do what is right. I would be shocked if someone could get through this game without strongly relating to some of the struggles these characters go through. This detail also extends to some of the supporting cast, with strong conflicts between the party and some enemies, and even some not quite allies, not quite enemies. Tales of the Abyss backs up its excellent world building with consistent and creative character work, and thus the game left me with a memorable experience and some new favorite characters. As for combat, the series staples are all here. 4 party members battle a group of enemies in a linear fashion with real-time action combat. Your character can perform various skills or arts that take up TP to use, and if you get your over limit bar filled, you can start an over limit, which then allows your character to do a flashy and powerful mystic art. Chaining together regular attacks, arts, and over limits can get your combo higher and help you defeat your enemies. As for new features for Tales of the Abyss, while the battle is still mostly linear, you can now press a button to engage in Free Run, where you can maneuver around the battlefield and take advantage of the enemies. I found this useful for dodging attacks as well as setting up good positioning to take out an opponent, or to escape when I had been trapped on the battlefield. While it takes some getting used to if you've played more traditional Tales systems previously, it sets up a nice new dynamic to play with in your quest for victory. The second big change for combat are the Fields of Phonons. As you battle, different colored circles will appear on the battlefield. These Fields of Phonons, and the way you or your enemies take advantage of them, is by standing in them and performing abilities. Certain abilities when standing in certain colored circles will become more powerful versions via an arts change. While these do tend to be more situational, it is quite satisfying to pull these off and can assist in changing the tune of the battle. It's a somewhat fickle mechanic, but it can be taken advantage of on occasion. On the whole, Tales of the Abyss doesn't change or innovate much when it comes to combat, so if you enjoy Tales series battles, you should be all set, but it might be an adjustment for some who come from more recent entries and their innovations on the formula. Most of the exploration is standard to the Tales series. You go through various locations, cities, and dungeons and can find treasure chests and hidden secrets along the way. In Abyss, the main way you can get through and find these is via the powers given to the team animal helper, the Cheagle Mew, by the Sorcerer's Ring. These powers can include fire, a powerful slam ability, and flying. I used every one of them to get a treasure chest at some point, along with using the first two to hit enemies in the field. As for the overworld exploration, it's alright with nothing significantly changing from past games. The one disappointment is how limited and late the fast travel system comes into the game. Due to the amount of backtracking and revisiting of locations you do, this would have been a great game to have this feature for. It certainly would have helped with the pacing, which does drag at times in the middle part of the game. One thing I noticed and appreciated about Abyss was that there were more puzzles in the game than I found in most Tales games. This was seen primarily in the side content and hidden secrets, so it's not required for those who don't have an interest, but I did, and it was a nice brain teaser in between all the battles. As for the side quests themselves, these are standard. There aren't a lot of them, but they are usually either simple tasks for NPCs or longer quests involving a specific party member that might give insight into their background. Other side content staples do appear in Tales of the Abyss as well, such as cooking, so while the game isn't overflowing with extra content, there's enough there for a dedicated completionist to engage with if desired. When it comes to presentation, the art is alright. While lacking in detail and limited in color usage, I still think the character designs stand out in a good way. The cutscenes are also quite nice, and it doesn't surprise me that the game is one of the Tales games to receive an anime adaptation. It just fits really well. At this point though, the port of the game is a decade old, and the visual presentation definitely shows that age. It does seem though that at the time the graphics were pushing the 3DS to its limits, as I did experience several slowdowns when it came to running around the overworld. These drop frames never negatively affected my experience, as it was solely when running around the overworld and not during battles or anything important, but it was noticeable enough to be worth mentioning. Other than that, I had no issues with the 3DS port. Tales of the Abyss has aged well in a couple areas when it comes to presentation, starting with music. The music is good throughout the entire journey and becomes excellent for a series of tracks towards the superb end of the game. It's not going to be replacing any of my top 10 in my favorite JRPG soundtrack list, but it was great to listen to in-game and after completing the game. Voice acting is another area that's aged quite well, with many solid performers in English and Japanese making up the cast, and even some standout performances by lesser-known voice actors. Shout out to Nicole Balick for her performance as Tyr. In fact, the only issue I have with the English voice acting specifically is the localizer's decision to not do voice acting for the skits. We really missed out with that choice. UI and UX wise, the game has clear menus, but there is some stuff hidden that's easy to miss in the menus of menus. The game is certainly beatable even if you're not doing much with capacity cores or other more hidden information, but there could have been easier ways to make that information easily accessible. Honestly, my overall thoughts on the presentation is that Tales of the Abyss would be an excellent candidate for an updated re-release on modern consoles so more people can enjoy it with added quality of life features. And voiced skits, please. Tales of the Abyss has its flaws, but what it does well, it does really well. And all in all, this is a Tales game with the solid combat, familiar exploration loop, and good voice acting, character designs, and music. While Tales of the Abyss may be hard to get your hands on, especially on 3DS, if you can play it, I say give it a go. This is a perfect game for anyone who has enjoyed a Tales game or people who love deep story-rich games. If you do get a chance to play it, I hope you enjoy your adventure with Luc von Fabre and companions. Before you do though, if you enjoyed this video, one of the best ways to show that appreciation is by giving the video a like so it can fight back against the smothering presence of the YouTube algorithm. Comments are also helpful both for algorithmic reasons and because I enjoy hearing your thoughts on the video and game. And of course, if you are not already subscribed, please do so you can keep up with the channel. Thank you. I hope you have a great day and happy gaming.